about villas, I see that you've actually made Goa and places around it look so stunning and beautiful. So how's the experience been working on the projects you worked on?
It's a very fulfilling experience. I think, even the team enjoys working on such projects because firstly, these sites, they're just like naturally blessed with either an extreme terrain or, there is some kind of a nice, river view or a paddy field or so, which obviously here in the urban density, we don't get to see. So you can very clearly see the Worli skyline from my office.
Yeah.
And it's not as inspiring as projects on the coast.
Correct.
So we really kind of get excited when we see the site, and the more challenging it is, the more fun it is for us. So we work in like very extreme conditions, where there are like 20-meter drops on sites, and how do you plan the entire structure around it? So it's always our first interest to get into these kind of projects. Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome to Walk the Talk with Bulbeer. Today we have with us Jugal Mistri from Jugal Mistri Architects, one of Mumbai's leading firms known for its work in upscaling urban and studio architecture. Jugal's designs reflect a careful balance between utility and public engagement. And yes, here he is. Hi Jugal, welcome to Walk the Talk with Bulbeer.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Same here. It was really lovely to meet you. And I think the discussion we had before we started was amazing. I loved seeing your work and I loved seeing the old Jugal. I am totally amazed. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Keep it up and keep it going. You definitely don't look aged.
Yes.
So coming to your work, Jugal, can you walk us through a project that challenged your sense of public versus private space, where you had to negotiate between client goals, urban context, and community impact?
Yeah, sure. So, as an office, we do a lot of work with, the aspirational builder category, which kind of sprung up post-COVID. And so, these are the clients who are building dreams, essentially. They're not there to fulfill fundamentals or basics of housing or real estate for that matter. And so, these guys come to us for a reason, for that freshness of ideas and, where they want to make things that are different, which kind of sell at a very high premium. So often what ends up happening with this sort of whole set of clients is that the mindset is to just literally build and sell. But then we have to kind of handhold and, evolve and educate the client and also tell them that, look, you are also building a brand in this whole process. And so it's very important to package the project well. Like how you conclude the project matters the most, the final photo shoot, the final documentation of things. So our advice always to, these kind of clients is to not get complacent, where one is able to sell quickly, but then, the final product also needs to have a certain story, it needs to have a certain aesthetic, it needs to have a certain quality to itself, because this is going to be your legacy, right? You're going to leave this footprint behind in, whatever location we are working in, whether it's, Goa, Alibag, Bombay, Delhi, wherever, right? But so this has been, this used to be a challenge earlier for us to have that budget partitioned for, just the decor of the place or, have like very pristine landscape in the place because these are like large format villas, right? To have a certain kind of furniture. So we've, I think, over the years, really been able to make that shift with, these clients to really pay attention to detail, to really stop looking at this as like a one-time deal. So, because, it's like, you're a developer and you build something you want to sell and exit, right?
Correct.
But that's not where it starts and ends. It's a much longer game, and like I said, you're building an identity for yourself. So So these are things we do on projects of this scale. And again, uh, as far as the urban context is concerned, or the local context is concerned, we want to make these projects as respectful, blending with their immediate surrounding. So that's again another story one has to craft with the client, and you have to educate the client on why things are a certain way in, let's say, Alibag, and why they are a certain way in Delhi, right? Because the sensibilities are very different. You can't import a north aesthetic to
True.
the west and
Correct.
south,
Correct.
because the expectations are quite universal in a way, and so you have to really add that very bespoke touch to such projects. Yeah.
So when you talk about, not and not wanting to carry north to south, what is the difference you see?
So the immediate difference, or I think the difference that we see early on, is obviously the requirement of the client, right? So
Of course.
so most of our north clients are like those clients who want multi-generational homes, which will basically trickle down to the future sons or daughters. So you've got to plan things accordingly, that really caters to that very specific requirement. I think the coastal homes, or homes down south, we really see for indulgence. So the requirement is, we want to indulge, we want to enjoy nature, we want to be part of the local community, right? So that is the first difference from the get-go, the brief of the project. And then, of course, as architects, we want to, like I said, value add in any location we are working in, and not disrupt. Disrupt is not a key word for us. It's always about, respecting what's out there, and just further elevating that experience. How can you better elevate or evolve any certain design typology, whether it's sloping roofs or, modern structures, whatever that is. So that's always like a continuous
Process.
exercise from our end. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So talking about villas, I see that you've actually made Goa and places around it look so stunning and beautiful. So how's the experience been working on the projects you worked on, which you showed me?
Yeah. It's a very fulfilling experience. I think, even the team enjoys working on such projects, because firstly, these sites, they're just like naturally blessed with either an extreme terrain, or, there is some kind of a nice, river view or a paddy field, or so, which obviously here in the urban density, we don't get to see. So you can very clearly see the Worli skyline from my office.
Yeah.
And it's not as inspiring as projects on the coast.
Correct.
So we really kind of get excited when we see the site, and the more challenging it is, the more fun it is for us. So we work in like very extreme conditions, where there are like 20-meter drops on sites, and how do you plan the entire structure around it? So it's always our first interest to get into these kind of projects. Yeah.
That's nice. How do you think architecture in Indian cities is evolving, particularly how spaces are used by the public, and what responsibility do architects have in shaping those shared experiences?
Yeah, so if I talk of just Bombay, I think, we are witnessing that there's this whole concept of urban porosity. So, things need to be like more porous, meaning that, buildings need to be more inviting, right from the street level. So where one can engage with an open space, or engage with a public plaza on a more sort of profound level. So it's not just, you're creating a structure and then, you're barricading it, right? We've just opened up the coastal road and the promenade by the water,
Yeah.
which is again a very stimulating public space, in my opinion, which we need. We need people to be going out there, engaging with, fresh air, nature, etc. So it's kind of very, it's essential for us. And on a more micro level, if you see now, with even hospitality projects, we are seeing a lot of rooftops being designed. We are seeing a lot of semi-open spaces, like, people are, now there's a concept of, eating on the side, the curb, sidewalk.
Right.
Right. So I think these elements are also playing a major role in the overall experience of living in a city, as far as design is concerned. Yeah.
True. What role does sustainability and environmental consciousness play in your designs? Can you give some examples of material layout, environment, anything?
So sustainability, like, has this very bad reputation of being, dull and boring. We, like, inherently feel that if we want to do anything sustainable, it has to be a sacrifice, but it should not.
I like that.
Because I feel that if you look at India and the history of Indian architecture, or the materials one used to, like, apply on our buildings, they sustained like generations and decades, right? And it was always a very cherished, fulfilling experience to be having the Vellatura textures on your facades, or having like semi-open courtyards or verandas. These concepts are old, and they're not boring, and they are fun concepts. It's just the way you interpret that in today's times is what really matters. And that's what we do with our projects, where we want to celebrate that Goan veranda, or the whole idea of a parlor, that whole idea of a threshold into the house. So, because these are spaces that firstly don't have walls, they are semi-open, they're permeable. So you're allowing like natural ventilation into the space, you're allowing natural light, and indirectly it benefits everybody. It benefits the house itself, it benefits the user, and you're also kind of doing your own bit with energy saving. So I like strongly disagree with this whole notion of sustainability being really boring and being expensive. It's not. Yeah.
It's a mindset.
Yeah.
Your work mentions spaces that inspire as an ethos. How do you define inspiration in architecture, and how do you try to evoke it in your work?
So I personally, my inspiration really comes from a lot of pursuits of solitude, as in, I like to be alone, which should not be the advice to other people. I mean, to each one's own, depends on what really works for you. But when we say that, inspiring with every space, what we're really trying to say is that it's not just the form and shape of things. I think it's overall the experience of what we're trying to create that should inspire you, right? So, because as an office, we have projects where, we deal with like a lot of extremities because of the kind of diverse clients we have. So yes, we have projects where we are spending a lot of money, where there's a lot of embellishments, there's a lot of bling, and at the same time, we're also doing very grounded projects, which are just like sitting well within a particular site. So we are not trying to sell the idea of aesthetics with that quote. We are trying to really say that no matter what one does, it's got to really feel nice, and it's got to really be the reason why you wake up in the morning and you want to do something. So you can get inspired with like endless things, right? I mean, one can love music, one can love, you want to read early in the morning. A lot of people write, a lot of people draw. Traveling is like one of those things, traveling can really open up your mind and
Exposure. Yeah.
Exactly. So I like to be alone. So that's what I do.
So alone is like just you and your work, or you have some music, or you have something.
That for sure. But then once a year, I try to like just travel somewhere where I'm on my own, to.
Okay. Okay. I get it.
Yeah. To some
Fine.
remote destination, which has its own kind of appeal.
True.
Yeah.
But like you said that, to each his own, agreed. But I think to enjoy your own company is where it all begins.
Yeah.
So I think you're doing great.
Yeah, it's worked out so far.
Yeah. I mean, Sadhguru also said that if you're sitting alone and you're getting bored, that means you're not in good company.
Yeah, correct.
So,
Also, like even the energy in the office, like I keep telling these guys, that yeah, sure, we have a very quiet vibe and everybody is a certain way. but at times it's very quiet, and they know this very well. They all want to keep to themselves. This is also an office where there's not a lot of chaos. It's more of a
Calm.
very calm vibe, yeah. And but it's sometimes it also troubles you that it's too quiet. What the hell is going on?
Where's the chaos?
Yeah, exactly. So every once in a while, one has to shake things up.
But it's good that, your team also has a similar vibe.
It's important.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important.
That's great.
Yeah. Energy matters.
Most important.
Yeah.
For younger architects or students looking at your work, what advice would you offer in terms of developing their own voice, especially when working in complex, ever-changing urban fabric in Mumbai?
Yeah. It's a great question. And I think there are a couple of things. I mean, it's too soon for us to be spilling advice, but there are some fundamentals one has to keep in mind if you want to be an architect, if you want to be in this industry and thrive. Starting with being tenacious. Tenacity is very important. Like, you have to be at it. So if you are someone who's going to give up, it's not going to work. So it's never going to be enough on how much effort you're putting in. And you have to be obviously true to yourself, what you can relate to. A lot of times we see young architects, young firms, being carried away with trends, like, this is trending, so let's do this. And then in that process or in that journey, you lose your voice. So no matter what you are, like, I have friends in the industry who are doing like really distinct kind of work, and they are very proud about it. So some guys are doing very local, very nature-driven work, very grounded, very basic materials, but they are able to craft that beauty out of it, right? And so one is not shying away from that identity, which is very important. I find that really impressive, when you are able to hold your ground and be consistent. So consistency is key. It's obviously a time where there's like a tough influence on Instagram, on social media. So, it's a risky territory, especially if you are still very fragile and young, you can sway either way. So you've got to be, again, the way to filter all of this is to be focused and to read and to put in the years behind something that you really love to do. Otherwise, it's like really easy to do like 10 things at a time and not be good at any of those. Yeah.
Jack of all trades.
Exactly, yeah. Because we are not like, yeah, we are a profession, but again, we are not like, our profession doesn't have a guidebook.
Yeah.
Correct? So it's not like a CA's office where, you are just following a bunch of rules. You're not following.
Or a law firm.
Yeah, exactly. There's no book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little tricky. Yeah.
True. What are the next projects or design explorations you're excited about? Any new typologies or scales you wish to explore?
Yeah, we're doing a bunch of things. Like I said, we're busy doing villas. We're doing commercial buildings here in Bandra. We're almost designing 6 lakh square feet just in Bandra itself. But I have this kind of a chart of projects. It's like a visual of the scale of each project, or like a set of projects. And after I drew the chart is, when I realized that the project that has the smallest footprint, like the physically smallest project in the portfolio, ironically has the largest impact on, the work we're trying to do, which is essentially, it's called airbox. It's like a prefabricated structure. And it can either like transform as a sanitation facility or like a shelter for the poor. Okay. So, when I saw the whole chart, where there was the biggest building in the front, and then the buildings got smaller, from like a large development to a big building to like a large farmhouse to someone's interior, and then finally that small piddly object, which was like 20 feet by 10 feet only. And then at the bottom, I also made like a row of its impact on the client or the user. And then, I realized that the largest project literally just fulfilled the agenda of one developer. The largest farmers literally fulfill the agenda of one family, right? And so on. But Airbox is, can have, once multiplied over the city or rural India, can have that impact, on thousands.
True.
Or even more for that matter. So it was really interesting to see that sort of reverse effect of small versus large.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an awakening, I think, like suddenly you're like, oh my God, really? I mean, it's a realization also,
Yeah.
and I think that really comes from the piece over here that you get when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
It's all interrelated.
And just like, evaluating things is also interesting, when you're evaluating your own work and your own self is, when you come across these surprises.
Surprises,
Yeah.
true. Finally, if you could sum up your philosophy in 3 key words, what would it be and why?
So if I just have to talk about the work, it's obviously community driven, context driven, and collaborative, where even the smallest person working on our sites is a collaborator for us, and he's a very important stakeholder to the whole process. But I try to tend to stay away from philosophies like very fixated ideas about life in general, and because I think for me again, it's just the way I am and it's the way things have worked. Where I do read a lot and I do have a lot of role models in my life, but then again, I don't get carried away. I don't say, okay, this is my belief or this is what I'm going to implement. And I think that has just led to kind of more exciting things, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well said. What do you think about Acetech?
Acetech, I guess, I think in one word, if I had to describe Acetech, is a giant. And, it's like, they've obviously turned the wheels around, in the industry. And the way one is able to capture the magnitude of not only the participants, but even the audiences. I guess it's got a larger universal appeal. So, I mean, I can talk to like my family members who are not designers and they wouldn't know Acetech, but that doesn't happen with, other events or other platforms of such nature. So I think that's really boosted the industry in a very positive direction over the years. And obviously you guys have grown exponentially. So, we are very happy for both Sumit and you.
Thank you so
Yes.
much. Thanks, Jugal. Thank you so much for your time over this talk. I think it was real fun to know you even better and, see your work.
Yeah, likewise. I hope you like the studio.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and thanks to your team as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.